not a game, it's a rich thing.
What's up everybody, it's Quinee Shea and I am back again with another hair tutorial today, and we are doing crochet passion twists. I love this style. It makes you just feel so like exotic and, you know, extra girly. It's so much fun, especially with fall approaching. Loving this color. So today I'm going to show you guys how I do my braiding pattern. Not necessarily a new method, I've seen it around, but I'm just going to show you how I do it. It's pretty simple, especially if you are a beginner with braiding. I'm not the best at like braiding up or braiding sideways on myself, so this will be like a little trick to kind of keep it still looking neat. It'll look a lot less like crochet and a lot more like individuals, but it cuts the time in half. So we all love that, because who is sitting here trying to be braiding all day long? Not me. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into this video. So today I am just starting off with my hair in 4 plaits. I washed and conditioned it last night and just let it air dry overnight. So I'm looking like a little kid today. But I've been putting heat in my hair lately because I've been lazy. But this time I was like, let me give my hair a break. So I just air dried my hair overnight. So we're gonna go ahead and take these out. All right, so this is my hair pretty much all stretched out, air dried overnight. And y'all kind of just give a testimony because this hair is a blessing. Do you hear me? This is what my hair looked like about maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And look at it now. What? And I gotta tell you, I just had a baby. She is 6 months old and I have truly experienced postpartum hair loss. It actually looks a lot better. I think around her 3 or 4 month mark, I had like this huge wad of hair come out. Anybody who's a mom can relate, I'm sure. And it scared the mess out of me. Like, I've heard of postpartum hair loss, but to actually see it was like, whoa. My edges were like very thin, but they don't look too bad. They still got some more areas that needs to grow in, because I've never really had thin hair ever. And right there. But I have been using this Jamaican black castor oil by Shea Moisture. And this thing has really started to just make a difference in my hair. But yeah, that's another story for another time. But this is my hair all the way stretched out. And what we're gonna do from here is we are going to make individual braids all along our perimeter. And by doing that, it kind of takes away the facade of crochet. It kind of gives it more of that individual looks versus the crochet looks. I hate when you can see those big chunky braids in between somebody's crochet. Like, crochet really should not look like crochet in my opinion. So that is always my goal when I do these styles. All right, so I'm gonna start off with a really thin row going straight across. And I think the thinner the better it looks, so it's not as much hair showing, if that makes sense, when you add the braids in. I'll show you as we go. All right. And you can just section off the rest of your hair. We will come back to that. All right, so now that we have the front sectioned off, I don't know if y'all saw my previous video for the Jamaican bounce curls, but I am a math nerd, so I'm always trying to do things in numbers to make it even. It just works for me. So I'm gonna part this in the middle, which I kind of still have a part from my little plaits I had. Part this down the middle. Now everybody's head shape is different, but on average, I typically do about 10 individual little braids here. All right, so 5 and 5. So if you split it in half, do 5 and 5. So when I have this one section, I typically just take a little bit to start the side braid. I don't like too much hair because then it starts to look like sideburns kind of. You ever have too much hair on the side for a braid and it just looks extra fuzzy over time? I don't like that. So I try to keep mine pretty small, right? And just section that off. Okay. And from here, I'm just gonna apply some jam. I am using Shine Jam. Stuff smells so good. And I'm just gonna apply just a little bit, probably like no more than this much. And I'm gonna concentrate on my root and just do a simple little 3-strand braid that we're all so used to. And I only go down about maybe 1 inch to 2 inches. I don't braid it all the way down, so this also saves time as well. And don't kill your edges, but I do like to make mine kind of neat, so that way when we crochet, it kind of gives that like super neat feeling, and you don't see too much of your hair at the base. You see more of the actual crochet braid, or the passion twist in this case. Once again, these are just little tips to kind of make it look more like individuals. See, so I only went down about this much. There we go. And so since I have this one off to the side, and I told you we do 5 braids in this section, I now can section this off into 4. So I split this just down the middle. You can pull that away. And then I split this in half to make 2. So this way everything is starting to look super equal and even all around. See, numbers come in handy, y'all. Don't hate on us math nerds. All right. I'm gonna section this off and repeat like we did the first time. Get a little jam, focus on the base near the roots, keep it nice and sleek, and braid down about 1 to 2 inches, keeping it fairly tight without destroying your edges. Keep the edges, girls, keep the edges. All right, and that's pretty good for me. And I am just going to continue this all across. Okay, so I have this half all done, 5 pretty evenly distributed. It took me less than 10 minutes to do. So I'm just gonna repeat on this side. I'm telling y'all, this hair loss, this postpartum hair loss is messing me up. My hair is so thin here. I'm not used to this, so I'm improvising. Bear with me. But I must say, it looks a lot better than it did a couple months ago, so baby steps. Any other mamas experience this? If so, leave me plenty of comments of what helped. I am a first-time mom, so this is also new to me, but you know, from what I did on my own research, I heard the Jamaican castor oil was a huge help, but if you know of any other tricks, let me know. I think that's as good as it's gonna get for now. My poor edges. It's all good. All right, so now we have both sides done, 5 and 5, 10 total. From here, I'm going to do the sides and a tiny layer in the back. So when you're starting off on the sides, continue your part from this guy, okay? So start right there and just do a thin part straight back. Once again, it's okay if the part is not straight, especially if you're doing this on yourself. It's so hard to see, but all this is going to be covered. So I kind of just go for what I feel. I'm pretty sure this is crooked. I'm more concerned about having a thin row of hair. That is the main thing I'm making sure of. And then making sure that it continues from this braid so it looks seamless. And so I typically do about 4 braids on the sides because I already have one here, so it's still like 5. But 4 when you're, you know, braiding the this fresh section, it'll be 4. So once again, I just kind of take this in half. This is so hard to do on camera. So kind of split this section in half, and then you're going to split it in half again, you know, 2 and 2 to make 4 total. Okay, so now that the sides are done, all that's left is the back, and this honestly is going to vary just depending on the width of your hairline in the back. So I'm pretty narrow, so I might can get maybe just 2 because I already have one on this side and then, you know, the one right here. So I'll probably just do 2 more going across that same path just to kind of make this look very uniform all around. Okay, so once we have our perimeter completely braided, from here we are now just doing cornrows. We will be doing, I believe it is 8. So what I like to start off doing, once again, keeping everything nice and even, starting with the center part. Once again, doesn't have to be perfect, but just try to part your hair down the middle, and if you can, line it up with the middle part in the back. All right, once you have your part down the middle, you can section off one side. All right, and if you are catching on to how I do my parts, you guessed it, we are going to do this down the middle. Now I don't count this guy, so these are all separate. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So once again, I'm gonna part down the middle in between these 2. This is my struggle part, y'all, don't laugh at me. We're gonna get you back, I promise. And once again, you want to try to line it up with your part in the back. And then lastly, we're going to part this right down the middle. Once again, my personal goal is for these not to look too crochet-y, if that makes sense. And the key to that is a really strong braiding pattern. So when you keep all your braids even throughout, all across, that's what gives it that individual look. Nice and clean. Any struggle parts you're having, like myself, will be covered up in the end. So don't focus on that. Don't focus on how pretty your cornrows are if you're not the best. Just keep that hair evenly distributed. Just focus on that, eyeball it to the best of your ability, and we'll be good. All right, so now we have our first section to cornrow. Always make sure your hair is detangled before you start braiding. Take it section by section, work from the bottom to the root. Especially if you have thick hair like me, you don't want to skip this step. It'll make your cornrow a lot easier to do if it's detangled properly. Okay, once your hair is detangled, I'm going to take my jam again and just put a little bit at the base, all the way down to the back. Get a little bit right in the front. Okay, so the way I do this, once again, no right or wrong way, just the way that I like to do it. Let's start with a little section. Make this into 3s to start your cornrow, like so. Can y'all see that? 3 strands. And I start mine like this. When I do that first little strand that I'm grabbing, that's when I slide this under. Okay? I'll do that one more time. Take a little section. And the reason why I take this little section, once again, you're getting really close to the edge. So when we start to crochet, it's not like you have a whole bunch of hair and then your cornrow starts. Because then if you crochet your twist right here, look at this blob of hair that we now have showing. That's not cute. So if you can get it closer to here, it looks a lot cleaner, okay? So once again, take this little section, get it into your threes. When you go under your first piece to start braiding, take this guy and slide him in. So now I still have my 1, my 2, this is the braid and a sliver of the actual hair, and my 3. 1, 2, 3. And from here you just cornrow like normal, going straight back. If you like your cornrows nice and tight, here is a little tip. Make sure as you're grabbing each strand, you're just grabbing little strands at a time. It may take a little longer. You don't have to do this. Once again, personal preference. But if you like your cornrows tight, grab smaller sections. If you like them loose, grab bigger sections. See how I'm grabbing back here versus right there? I hope this makes sense. It's hard to explain on camera, but it makes all the difference depending on your preference. I like mine tight. I'm not tender-headed at all, thank God. So I grab smaller sections as I braid. Now, when you get to the bottom, you want to make sure you are grabbing your little braid in the back, the one that was in the center. And this is also a personal preference. I like to really concentrate on my ends since I'm going through hair loss. I take some of the Argan Oil Cantu leave-in conditioner and just apply just a little bit on my ends just to kind of keep it protected and moisturized since everything seems to be breaking off these days. So I just apply a little bit of that on the ends. All right, you guys, so when you get down to this last braid, it's the same concept. We're gonna start off cornrowing and add this guy in. And then after you get like a couple little bit more braids going, add this one in. A couple more, add this one in. Very simple, not hard at all. Don't overthink it. All right, and just keep it as neat as possible. And don't add them in too early. Like add them in where they naturally lay. You don't want to add this guy when you're up here braiding. You know what I mean? Like common sense. So, all right, let's go ahead and do this last one on this side. So you see where I added that one in? You don't want to add it too late, but not too early. I kind of like mine at an angle for when I want to pull my hair up. It just kind of covers up this part right here. So I kind of kept mine at this little angle. And then I just braid it down maybe 1 or 2 more. And then I'm gonna grab the next one. So he should be going straight up. I know it's kind of hard to see because my hair is black, but that makes sense. It's just going straight into where it naturally would lay. Then you're gonna cornrow down to the end and grab that last one in the bottom, this one. Sorry guys, it's so hard to capture on camera, but hopefully this is all making sense. It's once again, not the prettiest, but it will get covered up. So there's a method to the madness that you shall see momentarily. All right, and now I'm gonna do the other side. All right, so I have all my cornrows done. What I'm gonna do next is just take a little bit of this Jamaican black castor oil and I'm just gonna apply it to my parts. You don't have to do this. You know, I mentioned already that I am dealing with postpartum hair loss, and I also have like a naturally super dry scalp, so I have to stay extra moisturized when I do these protective styles. So yeah, adding that real quick. I just focus on my edges since they are struggling. All right. Now to finish this off, what I typically do is braid it sideways. I wrap it up, and then I like to sew mine down. It just looks neater for me. It's easier. If you don't like that, there is a way you can crochet it into your cornrow. My hair is kind of long, so it's just easier for me just to sew it down. Now we are finally going to crochet the hair in. So this is what the crochet passion twists look like. I got these off of Amazon. I will link it below. They come in actually a lot of cool colors, but I have the T27, which it looks like kind of like number 4-ish. It's kind of light brown, and it goes down to like the blonde 27. It is a 6-pack, and there are 15 strands in each pack. So I've used this hair before, and I want to say I actually ran out, but I did use a different braiding pattern, which the way I did it, it required you to put the passion twist close together on the cornrow. So I'm hoping, since I did it a little different this time, the braiding pattern, that I won't run out. We will see, fingers crossed. But yeah, it comes with 15 on each in each pack. Now, if you've seen any of my previous videos, then you already know I love to start at the front. I like to make sure this section looks the best. God forbid we do run out or I get tired or whatever. I always make sure the front looks the best. So I'm just going to start all across my perimeter, get those locked in. I don't know why I start in the center, it's just a habit, but so you can see, this is the individual braid that we did. I'm gonna get my needle pretty close to the edge of my hairline. Attach the loop, close it, and pull it through. Open it and push this through now. Take the tail or somewhere near the end and close this back in there and pull it through. And when I pull it, I like to keep this pretty close to the edge and pull it as tight as you are comfortable with. So that way you don't have too much of your base showing. All right. See, so I don't have too much showing compared to some where like it could start back here. You want it as close to that as possible without pulling your brains out. So I went ahead and just did my whole perimeter, as you can see. So if I were to pull it up, not too shabby. So next what I'm gonna do is just continue to focus on the front half. And since these twists are fairly thick and it's pretty close to my natural hair color, I'm gonna separate these just to make sure I don't run out of hair. If you are using a color that's not the same as your natural color, you might want to get more hair just to be safe. So that way, if you need to put the twist closer together on the cornrow to cover up your natural hair color, you'll have more than enough hair. So I'm gonna start in the middle, and I typically just kind of work my way down. And if I do need to make the hair closer together, it'll be closer to my hairline versus in the middle, because obviously no one will ever really see the middle. Oh, and when I did my perimeter, that was about 1.5 packs of hair, just to give you an idea. And when I get closer to the front and you know where we started that cornrow, once again, I want to get as close since we're back at the front now. So I don't want too big of a gap from the first twist to the second twist. I want those two to be pretty tight back to back. So if you can see, these are how mine are spaced. Not super close together. Hopefully you get the idea. Try to keep these two close as possible. And see, they're so thick, and then it blends in with my hair that hopefully you don't even see the cornrow. All right, so I'm gonna continue and I will show you guys where I'm halfway at and starting on the back. Before we get to the back, a little tip on when you get to the sides, those little connecting pieces that we braided into our cornrow, I just put one twist right there in the middle. You don't have to, it's just my personal preference just to give it a little extra coverage so you don't see my parts. Depending on how much hair you have or the color that you choose, you know, you can either do this step or skip it, but this is what I tend to do. Just do one right along that connecting piece to cover it up. All right, so the first half is done. This looks like a lot of hair, right? And the back is not even done. So this is kind of what it's looking like. I'm telling you guys that braid pattern, if you really focus on evenly distributing the hair when you do your cornrows, it makes all the difference. So this looks pretty full, and I actually have it fairly spaced out if you were to like get super close up in them. I don't have them like that close to each other so you can still see space. But because this texture is so thick and the way we did our braid pattern, everything is blending in and you don't really see like cornrows too much. All right, so now I'm gonna finish up with the back. Just a little tip for the back. When you're doing that like chunky braid that we did sideways, I kind of focus on just doing 2 layers, if that makes sense. So I did a couple spaced out along the bottom of that little chunky cornrow, and then a couple spaced out right above it, closer to the top of the chunky cornrow. So as you can see, like you see a lot of my hair in between. But because these are so thick and we've spaced it out closer to the perimeter, if you were to put your hair up, you'll never see that chunky cornrow. All right, so we are almost done. I am on my 6-pack, so I think we're gonna make it. This is kind of what the back is looking like. As you can see, my cornrows are definitely exposed, but honestly, it's okay. I did run out of hair, but because of the way we did the top and the way we did our cornrows, when I let the top down, you will see all of this will be covered and it won't even matter. But yeah. All right, here we are with the final look. Oh my goodness, these came out so good. It is super full and you can't even tell that these are really crochet. I mean, you've really got to look hard to tell. So this came out exactly the way I was hoping. They look closer to individuals, nice and full. Took me maybe an hour and a half, less than 2 hours total. Of course, I had to stop here and there with recording, but overall, this is a really simple, easy, and fast hairstyle. Like I said, I'm going to link the information down below of where I got this hair off Amazon. Once again, I got the color T27. It is 22 inches. It comes in a 6-pack. Each pack has 15 strands. At night, the way I maintain this, since this hair is kind of heavy, but you know, I'm pretty much used to these hairstyles, so it doesn't bother me, but just a heads up, this hair is a little heavy, so I don't like to put it up in a bun at night like I typically would. What I would do is just keep it straight down, and then I would just put like a scarf around it and tie it underneath versus tying it on top, because then you'll get that little indentation, which we don't want. But yeah, I just keep a scarf mainly just to keep my edges looking nice and not as frizzy. This hair lasts a really long time, and as we know, crochet typically looks better the longer it's in. So I don't really worry about this not being wrapped up at night. You are definitely welcome to if that's what you prefer. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have found this video super helpful. Please leave me lots of comments down below. Let me know what you liked. If you have any questions about anything, if you have any tips about postpartum hair loss, I am all ears. Teacher girl, I need some help with that. But other than that, until next time, bye.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.